Now, I will discuss another asexual mode of reproduction, that is the budding. Budding is defined as an outgrowth from the body of the organism, and this outgrowth will get detached from the body and it forms a new independent organism. For example, Hydra and yeast. If you look at this figure of Hydra, you can see a bud has been developed as an outgrowth due to repeated cell divisions at one specific site, and this bud will get developed into tiny individuals, and when it get fully mature, it get detached from the parent body and it becomes a new independent individual. So that is about the budding. Now the next is about vegetative reproduction. This method is done by plants which reproduce by their vegetative parts such as stems, root and leaves. Layering and cutting, these are the two common methods used for vegetative propagations. For example, banana, rose, jasmine, etc. And here the plant produced through vegetative reproduction is genetically identical to their parent plant. So there are different methods of vegetative reproductions in plants that includes like stem cutting, layering and grafting. Grafting, that means it involves the fusion of tissues of one plant with those of another plant. Example of this grafting is roses. Next is when the leaf buds can grow as young plants, as you can see in this figure of bryophyllum. So when the leaf touches the moist soil, each bud grows into a new plant. So that is also an example of vegetative propagation. So these vegetative propagations are of actually two types. One is called as the natural vegetative propagation and the one is the artificial vegetative propagation, that is called as the tissue culture. So for example, like mint produced by roots, then sugarcane, jasmine, these are produced by stems, and bryophyllum, that is developed by leaves, these are all example of natural vegetative propagation. Now what is about the tissue culture method? Well, tissue culture is the technique of developing new plants from a cell or a tissues in a nutrient medium under some aseptic conditions. The cells or tissues are placed in a nutrient medium where it forms a mass of cell which are called as the callus, and this callus is then transferred to another nutrient medium where it differentiates and form a new plant. So for example, like ornamental plants, then orchids, these are all developed by tissue culture method. Now there are some benefits of tissue culture. Like we can grow plants like banana, then rose, jasmine that have lost the capacity to produce seeds. And now the plants are genetically similar to their parents and it helps in growing seedless fruit. So overall, we can say there are many advantages of vegetative propagation. Like we can say that plants can bear flowers and fruits earlier than that produced by seeds. Next, the plants which have lost the ability to produce viable seeds can also produce through vegetative propagation. And next is through this vegetative propagation, seedless varieties of the plants can also be obtained. And the next one is spore formation. Spore formation, it is another method of asexual reproductions in which it involves specific reproductive part such as hyphae in rhizophus and the tiny blob on a stick structures which are involved in the reproduction process. And these blobs, as you can see in this figure of rhizophus, these are the sporangia which contain cells or spores that can eventually develop into a new rhizophus individual. And these spores are covered by thick walls that protect them until they come into contact with another moist surface and then it can begin to grow. So this is how a spore formation, asexual reproduction takes place.
Now we will see how do metal carbonates and metal hydrogen carbonates react with acids. For that, let's do activity 2.5. We take two test tubes and label them as A and B. Now take about 0.5 gram of sodium carbonate in test tube A and add dilute hydrochloric acid. You see that carbon dioxide has been released. Now in test tube B, add sodium hydrogen carbonate and dilute hydrochloric acid. You see that carbon dioxide is released. Now pass this carbon dioxide gas through calcium hydroxide solution, which is also called lime water. You see that the lime water has turned milky. The reactions occurring in the above activity are: in the test tube A, Na2CO3 solid plus twice of HCl aqueous gives twice of NaCl aqueous plus H2O liquid plus carbon dioxide gas. In test tube B, NaHCO3 solid plus HCl aqueous giving NaCl aqueous plus H2O liquid plus carbon dioxide gas. So, on passing carbon dioxide gas evolved through lime water, we find that lime water, that is CaOH whole 2 aqueous plus carbon dioxide gas gives CaCO3 solid, which is the white precipitate which makes the solution milky, along with water, that is liquid. On passing excess of carbon dioxide, the following reaction takes place: CaCO3 solid plus H2O liquid plus CO2 gas, which gives CaHCO3 whole 2 aqueous, which is soluble in water. Now, limestone, chalk and marble are different forms of calcium carbonate. All metal carbonates and hydrogen carbonates, which is also called as bicarbonates, react with acids to give the corresponding salt, carbon dioxide and water. Thus, the reaction that can be summarized as metal carbonate / metal hydrogen carbonate plus acid giving salt, carbon dioxide and water. So, we have found that when metal carbonates or metal hydrogen carbonates react with acid, it gives salt, carbon dioxide and water. Keep on passing the gas through the calcium hydroxide solution. We find that the white precipitate has dissolved and we get a clear solution. We get CaHCO3 whole 2, which is soluble in water.
Students, in this part we are going to discuss about magnetic field due to a current carrying straight conductor. Okay. Now, if I have a straight conductor, how will be the magnetic field defined as? So, for that we will see an activity. Can you see this? Okay. Now, suppose if you can see on the screen, I have a current flowing in the circuit. Okay. There is a current flow from the positive terminal to the negative terminal of the battery, as you can see here. And at one of the portion of the wire, I have kept a cut board where the wire passes through the cut board in this way, right. Like this it is passing, the wire is passing from the in the circuit. Okay. Now, if I put some iron, small iron pieces, okay, very small iron pieces. So, what will happen? Those iron, if you can see on the screen as well, will form a concentric circle. Concentric means one center with many circles. So, this concentric circles will give me the direction of magnetic field. Around the conductor, there will be a concentric circles, magnetic field lines direction will be formed. One thing we have also noticed, now if I bring a magnetic compass near to that wire or the circuit, and if I increase the current, now I was using 6-volt battery, now let me use 8-volt battery. So, more is the potential difference, more will be the current according to Ohm's law. So, when the current increases, the deflection also increases, means there will be more magnetic field around the conductor. Now, I have repeated one more thing out here. I took the compass away from the circuit. Once I took it away from the circuit, then the deflection decreases. Okay. Now, two conclusions can be drawn from here, that whenever there is a straight conductor, if the current is increased, the magnetic field will be increased, and the distance, if it is increasing, the magnetic field will be decreasing, right. So, distance and current relation all you have seen. One more thing let me tell you out here. Now, if I change the direction of current, earlier it was flowing from suppose right to left clockwise, okay, it was flowing clockwise. Now, if I made the current to flow anti-clockwise by changing the battery, what we will see, the deflection also changes. Earlier, if the deflection was making in the right hand direction, now the deflection will be in the left hand direction as soon as the direction of current changes. What does it prove? That along with the direction changes, the magnetic field direction also changes, means magnetic field lines of force will also change, right. So, the cardboard experiment, I hope you have understood. The direction is of the magnetic field is formed in the form of concentric circle. Now, as you have seen, those irons were making concentric circles. So, how we are going to find out the direction of magnetic field at that point on the straight in a straight conductor? So, there is a rule known as a right hand thumb rule. If you can see on the screen that if you point your hand in this way, this one will show the direction of the current and this one will give you the direction of the magnetic field around it. This curled finger will be giving magnetic field around it. So, the direction of current will be in this way, like this. Now, if the current is going downward, so this will be the direction of the current in the conductor, straight conductor, and this one will be your magnetic field around it, which will come in this way, right. So, this is how you can find the direction of the magnetic field in a straight conductor using a rule known as right hand thumb rule. Hope it is clear with you.